one guy who loves jumping up on pucks in the neutral zone is Travis Dermott. And he's someone that you and I have talked about a lot over the years. He's someone who developed incredibly well under the Toronto Marlies. And when you look at his skating ability and his gap control and his edge work, he's someone who I always thought was going to develop into a top 4 defenseman. It hasn't happened yet. He's still getting minutes in the 11 to 12 range. He's not getting any PK time. So he's just a sheltered 5-on-5 guy. That's not a lot of minutes, but he's still someone who I know that you've liked in the past, and we see things in his game that make us think, ooh, this is a modern driver, a guy who can get the puck out of your end and keep the opposition from gaining the zone the other way. That's the modern game. That's the transition game. What does he need to do to elevate his game to that top 4 status? Because Sheldon Keefe and company aren't seeing it. They played Mikko Lehtinen more minutes than him the other night.
Yeah. It's funny, he's a great example of when we look at teams and you say they have prospect guys coming. We got, Dermott's on the way. It's like, do you know how good the top 3 defensemen are in every NHL team? Like Travis Dermott projected to be an NHL defenseman. He's an NHL defenseman. This is good for what he, for what he could be or was going to be. I guess we get a little bit too excited about guys sometimes. So what he needs to do to be a top 4 guy is to realize that he's not going to be a top 2 guy, and to realize that Jake Muzzin makes $5.5 million by just playing hockey and trying to keep the puck out of his net and running into guys here and there. And, Dermott has this, I wonder if he feels like the progression was natural, like Marlies went well, Leafs went well, climbing, and just like he's going to be given X, Y, or Z. Because he still plays this twitchy, excited game. Like he wants to be PK Subban sometimes. And, sometimes just like he's jittery. He's a twitchy player. And sometimes you see the pucks at his feet and his stick's in the air and he's looking to do all this stuff. And it's like, hey, put your stick down, put it on the ice near the puck and pass it to someone. We just need you to play defense. And I think they're frustrated that they have to shelter him. They, put him in the ozone. They have to protect him a little bit, and he's better with a good partner and someone who can stay at home and play defense. They don't want to protect him. They want him to be someone they can trust and play defense. And I think for him, a lot of forwards have come to grips with the fact that they are not going to score 50 goals in the NHL, and they become grinders. And Andrew Cogliano is still killing it in the NHL. Go through the list of NHL players who say, I guess I got to do something different. Dermott's got to have that talk with himself and say, if I'm going to play in the NHL, I need to be a defense man and play defense.
I wonder if on that note too, especially because of the way he was treated early on and I'm trying to get inside his head a little bit and also take into account what you just said, they threw him on the power play early, right? That guy hasn't touched the power play in the past few years, nor is he going to. The jitteriness alone, it's not going to happen. They brought Mikko Lehtinen over from Finland. They're like, here you go, power play 2 time. Travis Dermott, take a seat, buddy. There's power play. That's where you're sitting. So
Sandin was ahead of him on the depth chart there. The one place
that was the one that was telling to me.
And I thought Dermott would make sense on the penalty kill with his gap, with his ability to say, okay, maybe on a PK2 when we've just iced the puck and now all you need to do is prevent them from gaining the zone. I figured that would be something he'd be amazing at because that's his skill set, is gapping up in the neutral zone. But I guess you're concerned when they gain the zone, is he someone who's going to take away that pass through the middle of the ice and read the play as it develops? I guess that's where you're a bit concerned.
There's some players. Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's if you can't play on either special teams unit and you're a bottom pair guy, they'll find someone better. So he's got to figure out a way to be a regular contributor, an important part of a PK for sure. But just there's some guys, and actually Mikheyev comes to mind a little bit too, but just where you don't want them to have a cup of coffee and a Red Bull before the game. And Dermott, it's I would like him to have half Robitussin and half water in his bottle and just play a quieter game. And that would make me much more confident in what you're going to get from him on a given night.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, I love the point too about the expectations on Dermott, and I guess just sort of that that gap between, right? I think back to those times, and it was people went nuts on Andreas Janssen for leading the playoffs in scoring and all whatever he was doing in Sweden. And Kasperi Kapanen scored that overtime goal to win the World Juniors, and everyone lost their mind. This guy's going to be unreal. Can't believe we got this guy. They traded those guys in the summer, and people were lining up to drive them to the airport. They could not get rid of them faster. I actually really like Andreas Janssen. I think he would have actually looked really nice on the left wing on either line. but that aside, it just kind of goes to show like everyone goes like nuts on prospects, but to like actually like the learning curve between playing pro hockey and getting there and then doing
Yeah.
it every